This person said, we've been married for almost a year, and my husband's sex drive is markedly lower than mine. It's caused great emotional turmoil for me.
Yeah, that's painful, right? So confusing. That what what you're experiencing gets made even more intense because of the maybe stigma that feels around it, right? That the normal kind of thought or expectation is that all men want sex and they want it more than women do, and that's kind of the norm without exception. And in reality, kind of about 20%, 15, 20%, 1 in 5 or so relationships, the wife has a higher sex drive, that is a desire for more frequent connection, than her husband does, which is definitely the minority, 1 in 5 versus 4 in 5. But still, 1 in 5 couples, 20% of couples, is a lot of couples. There's still lots and lots of couples out there where that's the case. And so it's a very common experience, even if it's not in the majority of maybe couples that are out there. But because of some of the stigma and the kind of the expectation that it would be the other way around, man, there's such a crushing weight that can be felt. Like, what's wrong with me? Am I not desirable? Am I not appealing to my husband? Is that not something that he does he not want me, or is he bored with me already? And there's all sorts of kind of fears and insecurities that get impacted and drawn out when that's happening, which can turn into a dynamic where there's creates pressure kind of on a husband, where there's a sense of, on the husband's side, am I failing? What's wrong with me? Why do I not, I'm not able to make my wife happy. I feel like I'm letting her down. I'm a disappointment to her, creating pain kind of for her. There's all of these things that are going on his side, that a lot of times what men will do is men will avoid the things that they don't know what to do about, right? None of us like to feel like failures. It's why I don't golf, right? Like, I don't want to feel like a failure, and I'm terrible at golf. So I'm not going to call up my buddies and be like, hey, you want to go golfing? Just so I can go out and lose and look terrible on the golf field. So I'm going to avoid that like the plague. Call me and ask me I want to go golfing. Be like, nope, I got anything else to do. That I'm not gonna sign up for that. That's me wanting to avoid a situation where I feel like a failure, right? This is a common thing, especially for men. And when sex becomes a zone within our relationship where we feel like a failure in some way, we're going to avoid it like the plague, right? Which then can further kind of shut down our sex drive until we become like asexual, and the marriage becomes asexual. So there can be this really uh, painful downward spiral that makes the situation worse and worse. So can be a number of things going on for a husband in that situation. All of them we can work through, and kind of, depending on what it is, can come at it from a different angle. There's some articles on our website that kind of talk through the common struggles that men have around sexual performance or desire, engagement. And so great place to start would be to engage a resource like that, an article that kind of defines some different scenarios and see which one seems to fit for him. And that will give you some direction to pursue. But from a wife's vantage point, you want to create some safety for dialogue around it, right? That if the way that you come at it is, hey, why are you failing me as a husband in this regard? That's probably not going to go over so well in that, and not really just like excite him about troubleshooting this vulnerable part of his life, and certainly not going to make him feel eager to share with somebody else about this part of his life that he's feeling like a failure in order to get help. So don't shoot yourself in the foot by approaching it in such a way that discourages getting the help that will really change your situation. So that's kind of what I would suggest that you your angle of attack would be.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. And I think, she mentioned we've been married for almost a year. That's
Mhm.
still, it's still new, the sexual experience, all of that, it might still be new for you. And so that is part of the adjustment of learning to do life together and be married, is troubleshooting those things that, we have
Totally.
either never experienced or are learning to do correctly again.
Hmm. Totally. And sex is just like that. It's one of those vulnerable areas of relationship that everybody is bad at when you come into a relationship. That uh, you know, it's so personal in nature, and the combination of two individuals is different. And so the idea that somehow you come into marriage, or you're going to come into marriage and be kind of like awesome in bed, and it's always going to be wonderful and perfect, is kind of Hollywood fairy tale kinds of stuff. That great and awesome and passionate sex life is developed over time, that we, as we get to know each other more and we feel safer with each other more, and we're able to share about our experience and troubleshoot the difficulties that we have, that's what really develops a thriving and continuously growing and adapting kind of dynamic between a couple. So definitely have grace for yourself. Recognize that having difficulties or struggles in the sexual connection with the relationship is totally normal, and something that every couple kind of navigates through, even though most couples aren't like posting about that on their Facebook page.